If you're loving Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, that delicious mix of time travel, romance, and mouth-watering fusion cuisine, you're definitely not alone. The Netflix K-drama, starring Yoona as the modern chef Yeon Ji-young and Lee Chae Min as the brooding tyrant King Yi Heon, has completely taken the world by storm since its premiere in August 2025. But here's a twist you might not know. The king's character is actually inspired by a real historical figure. And today we're diving straight into that story. The life of King Yeonsangun, the infamous 10th ruler of Korea's Joseon dynasty. More importantly, we're pulling out the top differences between him and his fictional counterpart. Why does this matter? Because while the drama paints Yi Heon as a redeemable bad boy with a soft spot for good food, the real king was far darker. And don't worry, we're sticking to verified historical facts from official sources like the veritable records of the Joseon dynasty, also called the Shillok and Britannica, so this is going to be myth-free, no fan theories, just clean history. Alright, let's break it down! Who was the real king? The story of Yeonsangun, 1476-1506. So, who exactly was Yeonsangun? Born Yi Young, sometimes spelled Yeonsangun. He ruled Joseon from 1494 to 1506. He ascended the throne at just 18 years old after the death of his half-brother, King Sejong. But his backstory? It's tragic, and it sets the stage for his villainy. For years, he grew up believing that Queen Jung-hyun, his father's third wife, was his real mother. Later, he discovered the truth. His biological mother was Yoon, a consort who had been exiled, poisoned, and executed on false charges of adultery and violence when he was just a toddler. Imagine discovering that about your own mother as a young king. That revelation hit him hard, and it fueled the paranoia and rage that defined his reign. And the records back it up. According to the veritable records of the Joseon dynasty, the official annals compiled by court historians and now preserved as a UNESCO memory of the world, Yeonsangun's rule spiraled into tyranny fast. Here's what he did. Suppressed dissent brutally. He executed scholars and officials who opposed him, including those involved in his mother's death. In 1498, he launched the 6th literary purge, killing or exiling over 100 people, even royal princes. Indulged in excess, a self-proclaimed gourmet, he built lavish pleasure palaces and forced women, including noble women, into his harem. He banned books he didn't like, especially historical texts that criticized his family, and even ordered the destruction of Confucian classics. Ignored governance? Corruption skyrocketed because he was more interested in personal vendettas. He revived old customs like the Office of Music, where entertainers performed obscene acts, and in the end, his reign collapsed in 1506, when officials staged a coup, banished him, and he died in exile just months later. Historians at Britannica don't hold back. They describe him as one of the most notorious rulers of the Joseon dynasty. Compare that to earlier kings like Taejo, who stabilized the kingdom after overthrowing Goryeo in 1392, and you can see just how badly Yeonsangun stands out. His short 12-year reign is remembered as a stain on Joseon's 500-plus years, and even his drunken rages were carefully recorded in the Shillok, just to keep the historical record honest. Top differences: why the real king was not that good compared to the drama's hero. Now let's get into the fun part, comparing history and K-drama. Bon Appetit, Your Majesty is based on the 2022 web novel Surviving as Yeonsangun's Chef by Park Sung Hoon, but the drama changes the king's name to Yi Heon. Why? To create distance from actual history. Even the director, Jang Tae-yu, has said in interviews that this is more about rom-com fantasy than historical realism. And you'll see why, because in the drama, food and love redeem the tyrant. In real life, no such redemption. Let's line them up. Tyranny level, redeemable. Brooder versus ruthless butcher. In the drama, Yi Heon is haunted by his mother's execution. He lashes out at corrupt officials, but shows vulnerability through his love of food. Thanks to Ji Young's cooking and wit, he evolves into a romantic lead. The real Yeonsangun? His trauma wasn't just about corrupt officials, it spiraled into mass executions. The Shillok records him ordering deaths of entire families, women and children included, for minor slights. He wasn't brooding, he was sadistic. At one point, he forced scholars to act as clowns, then executed them. No redemption arc here, his deposers literally called him a mad king. Food obsession. Gourmet connoisseur versus hedonistic excess drama. Yi Heon is picky but passionate about food, using meals as connection points. And yes, those steamy kitchen scenes drive the plot. His palate becomes part of his growth. Real Yeonsangun? Sure, he loved food, but it wasn't soulful, it was part of debauchery. The Shillok records him throwing orgiastic feasts with rare delicacies, heavy alcohol, and entertainment, all funded by squeezing nobles dry. Britannica even points out how his indulgence went against Joseon's Confucian ideals of frugality. His foodie side weakened the state, it didn't strengthen him. Romance and personal growth, star-crossed love versus isolated paranoia. In the drama, Yi Heon falls for the time-traveling chef. Trauma gets healed through bibimbap and banter. Escapist fantasy at its finest. The real Yeonsangun? No love story. He was paranoid, isolated, and treated women like objects. Many were literally kidnapped into his palace. Even family ties couldn't soften him. He died in exile at age 30, alone with no thawing heart, no redemption. Historical era and role, mid-dynasty, chaos versus foundational stability. The show keeps the setting vague, focusing more on palace intrigue than actual events. But Yeonsangun ruled 1494–1506, a turbulent time after the golden age of kings like Sejong the Great, who invented Hangul. Unlike founder Taejo, who stabilized Joseon, Yeonsangun destabilized it. His coup actually helped restore balance by giving scholar officials more power. The drama gives us a hopeful resolution, love and change. The real story? His reign ended in a bloodless coup in 1506. He was demoted to a prince, exiled to Ganghwa Island, and died soon after. The Shillok documenting his reign was sealed immediately after to prevent tampering, proof of just how serious Joseon was about preserving unvarnished truth. His name still echoes as shorthand for tyranny. So why does the drama change all this? Simple. No one wants to watch a pure villain when you're selling romance, comedy, and food. As Time magazine noted, the show isn't here to teach history. It's here to give us an escapist love story dressed up in historical costumes. Yeonsangun's story has been told before, but usually in darker ways, like the 2015 film The Treacherous. Bon Appétit, Your Majesty flips that around. Food and romance as redemption. And that's the reminder here, K-dramas often blend fact with fantasy, and while it makes for addictive TV, the real Joseon was no fairy tale.